It's not to be like the world, and not to be like the great majority of American Christians, but to be like Jesus Christ. I don't know why you're clapping. I'm talking about you.
What's wrong with you people? I'm serious.
You can't say amen, you ought to say ouch.
Hello, Humblebees, and welcome back to Tulips and Honey. I'm your host, Lauren, and today I have with me an extra special co-host that is sweeter than honey itself. I'm talking about my daughter, Kayliegh. Thank you so much for coming on the program with me today.
Of course! I love coming on the program with you.
That's right. You got to talk to Dr. Jason Lyle not long ago, right?
Yes, that was very nerve-wracking.
Were you so nervous? I was nervous too.
I was nervous. You were nervous. We
were
all nervous.
The only person that wasn't nervous was Dr. Lyle.
Yep, he does this all the time.
Yes, he's got multiple degrees. He doesn't need to be nervous, huh? So if you've followed my blog for any length of time, then you already know who Kayliegh is because I write about her all the time in my weekly homeschooling updates. And so I'm really, really excited. You guys have gotten to watch her grow up over the last few years. I think you were maybe 6 whenever I started the blog, and you're about to be 9 years old.
I'm so excited. When I was like 4 years old, I was eating lunch with my TV dinner.
Yes, you were obsessed with those at that time.
Yes, I was. And I was wishing like, I'll never be 9.
Oh.
But now I'm 9.
And it happened really fast, right?
Yeah, like snap.
Like snap, and now you're 9 years old. Isn't that crazy?
Mm-hmm.
Oh my goodness. So you're going to probably even be 9 maybe a week or so after this is dropped. So you might even be 9 by the time people are listening to this. It's only a few weeks away, huh?
Yeah, I'm so excited. I hope I get everything I wanted on my birthday.
I do too.
But mostly on my main list, like JoJo singing Boomerang Bell and a flute.
And a flute. I'm excited about the flute. I think you're going to do really well learning how to play the flute for sure, because you're really good at the piano and the guitar.
Thank you. I'm going to play my flute while my JoJo doll sings.
Oh, it's a great idea. You've already got it all planned out, huh?
Mm-hmm.
Very cool, very cool. So every year when you turn 1 year older, Mommy and Daddy get together and we discuss what's going to change about your routine now that you're a year older. And sometimes it's like, oh, you get to stay up a little bit later because you're a little older. Sometimes you get new responsibilities, like when you got to use the big girl scissors a few years back.
That was a really nice... I did not like having to use the kitty scissors.
They don't work.
No.
They don't work. I don't even know why they exist.
Nope.
They really don't. No, they might as well just be a pretend toy.
It's just them trying to make kids feel better about not using the scissors.
I think you're right. I think you're definitely right. So this year you're turning 9, and Mommy and Daddy are going to talk to you about what new responsibility you're going to get until, of course, the day of your birthday. So it's one of those things that we do traditionally. We tell you what you're going to get to do differently. But another thing that we change each year is how many lessons that you do in your homeschool and how much time it takes and how difficult they are.
Not exciting.
Not exciting. That's not exactly your favorite gift, is it?
No.
No. But it is important each year as you grow that your homeschooling lessons grow with you because, of course, if we were still learning ABCs right now, it'd be a little boring, huh?
Uh-huh.
So Mommy and Daddy decided when you were 2 years old to homeschool you. And if anyone listening hasn't guessed yet, this episode is, of course, about
homeschooling.
That's right. We're going to be talking about homeschooling, and Kayliegh is going to give some opinions of her own about what she likes and dislikes, and some of her favorite lessons, and some of the lessons that she's maybe not a big fan of, and just some general opinions of it. But just to give you some background for the listeners, we started deciding to homeschool Kayliegh when she was 2. We had absolutely no idea about anything that had to do with homeschooling, but we started to do flashcards with you. And they were little flashcards that just had like pictures of a house and the word house, things like that. And you memorized them almost immediately. And I was only doing this for like maybe 15 minutes in the morning, 15 minutes in the afternoon. And you picked up on it really fast. And so that made me sort of start to wonder. And I was videoing you picking up on all this stuff, like the flashcards, the ABCs.
And you were posting them, right?
I was posting them on Facebook, that's right. And you learned your states that year, all of the states on the map. You learned all of the planets and all of the countries all in that 1 year between 2 and 3. And a friend of mine actually reached out to me and was like, hey, you should consider homeschooling your brilliant, beautiful little daughter. And I was like, what? That sounds like the best thing ever. Tell me all about it. And so she did. And I just immediately fell in love with the idea of getting to teach you. But it was kind of a hard sell to everybody else that wanted you to be like a cheerleader and in school. It did take a little convincing for Daddy to decide that homeschooling was the best option. Of course, all I had to actually do is say, hey, it'll be a lot harder for her to meet boys if she's homeschooled. And he was instantly interested in the idea.
Of course, he didn't want like all that bad stuff, like the shootouts or the bullies.
That's right. Yeah, Daddy took all of that into consideration as well. You're right. It was a big decision to decide to homeschool you, but I'm so thankful in the long run that we made that choice because we travel now, and it would just be impossible for you to go to school while we're traveling the country, huh?
It would cost so much money to be like one school, 3 months later, another school.
Yes, it would. You're right. That would be really, really weird for you to have to find new schoolmates and everything. And also, I just think that this is a really fun way for you to learn because you don't have to get up
At
super early.
6.
That's right.
I sleep until 10 sometimes.
Woo! Yes, you do. Sometimes you do sleep until 10.
Most of the time I wake up at 7, either way though.
It's true. You are an early riser. Yeah, you do get up really early, but you don't sleep well at night, so sometimes it could be probably kind of frustrating to get up early for you because here you have the opportunity that every kid dreams of. You can sleep as late as you want, but your poor little body won't let you do it.
Sometimes I want to have alarms.
Yeah, so you can get up and do maybe a little trick on Mommy with whipped cream.
Yes.
That's why Mommy doesn't let you set an alarm, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah, why don't you tell my listeners what you plan on doing to Mommy if you ever wake up before me?
I'm gonna do that trick where you put whipped cream on the sleeper's hand and then tickle them. And then they do their hand hits their face.
Uh-huh. And the whipped cream goes everywhere?
Yes.
Might be the most delicious way to wake up, though.
Yes. Except if I put pancakes on there.
Oh, yeah.
That would be very delicious.
That would be very delicious. That's true. And really messy.
Very.
That's not exactly what I mean whenever I say serve me breakfast in bed.
No.
But unfortunately, you don't ever wake up before Mommy, huh?
Yeah. Unless she sleeps in or accidentally cancels her alarm clock.
Right. So your best bet is Mother's Day when Daddy lets me sleep in, or my birthday.
Or when you take naps.
Or when I take naps.
Which is very rare.
That's true. I have a hard time sleeping during the day. So that is your plan. That is literally something that we went to the store and bought whipped cream for because I knew that you would never wake up before me because you're a blessed little girl that gets to be homeschooled. So what are some of your other favorite things about homeschooling?
Well, I love getting snacks.
Snacks are awesome. Yep, I can remember being in public school and being so hungry and just dying for lunchtime to hurry up.
I also like not having to dress up in the same outfit. I get to wear my PJs.
That's true, yeah. Uniforms are not fun. That's true. It's a good point.
So at school, do they give you a uniform and you have to put it on every day?
Well, you buy it. You have to still, even though they're making you wear a special uniform, you still have to go buy it. I don't know if there's any schools left that don't make you wear uniforms, but whenever I was your age, we didn't have uniforms. Uniforms became really popular whenever I was a teenager, and all of a sudden all the schools were doing it. I don't know if that's how it is now, but I know every time we go to the store, I see uniforms for sale. So I'm assuming that most of the schools do, maybe not all of them. Definitely all of the private schools, they've always had uniforms, but yeah, no, you still have to buy them. But yeah, you have to wear the same outfit, the same shirt. For us, it was khaki pants and a white t-shirt.
So now what do you think it is?
I don't know. I bet it's still the same. Probably white polos and khakis or black slacks, maybe something like that.
So do they have to make it as uncomfortable as possible?
I guess so.
They could choose yoga pants.
They could choose, yeah. But boys probably wouldn't be very comfortable in yoga pants.
At least it's not tights.
That's true. That's a good point. Yep.
Or dresses for boys. That would be so funny.
That would be funny, but yes, that would be very uncomfortable. You're right.
Yeah.
So what are some of your other favorite things about homeschooling?
Well, I really like to get breaks.
Yeah? You like it when we take breaks in between the lessons?
Yes.
What's your favorite lesson?
Probably not most of them. I like art.
You like art class? Art is your favorite? What is your favorite thing to draw or paint?
Well, I don't really have a favorite because I'll get into one thing and paint only that, and then I'll paint only this, but I do not like to follow instructions from like other teachers. I like to do my own art.
Right, which is why we actually have basically what is, I guess you could consider, 2 separate art classes, where you get one where you're taking instruction, and then the second one you get to just do whatever you want.
Right. We do different arts, like we'll do different crafts.
Yeah.
A lot. And will you tell me about who inspired you to do art class?
Yes, of course. That is a really, really cute question. So,
thank you.
Actually, you inspired me to do art class before we started doing heavy lessons. So, like I mentioned, when you were 2 to 3, we did 15 minutes of lessons in the morning, 15 minutes in the afternoon.
Where did the minutes go?
I know. Now it's hours, huh? So,
yes.
The older you got, the more time I spent on lessons, especially after you turned 4 and you were able to read and write. Well, you started to be able to read the small things, Fox on a Box and all that stuff. But your favorite pastime to do outside of lessons was to do anything that involved art. And so at one point, you were 4, we were in Wyoming, and you drew a boat. And you had never had any instruction on how to draw a boat. And you drew this perfect little boat. And I was like, oh my goodness. She just drew a boat, like, from her imagination, and it's a real boat. I can't draw a boat. I'm a grown adult.
I've always not had to watch instruction. Like, when I draw SpongeBob, I just have to watch the show SpongeBob.
Mm-hmm.
I'll pause it at some point to get the real detail.
Yep.
I've watched it and colored it so many times that I can now draw SpongeBob without watching it.
Right, yeah, and it's like the perfect shape and size, too. And the eyes aren't too big or too little, and everything is in the perfect proportion. And so whenever I showed Daddy that boat, he was like, are you teaching her anything for art class? And I was like, no, she just, we play crafts afterwards. I would have crafts planned out for sort of like a fun break. And he was like, oh, well, we need to start, teaching her some techniques because she's obviously really good at this. So it was actually you that inspired me to do that.
Really? I thought it was like someone who told me, wow, she's really good at art, so you should do art classes.
Yeah, probably Daddy was the person that did that, I would imagine. So we started with just really Mommy sort of teaching you what little bit that I knew. We found some stuff at the Dollar Tree that was like little instructions. We bought you a bunch of art supplies, and then I found Kids Art Hub.
Kids Art Hub is a real good thing.
Yeah.
We used to do that every time, but now that I'm older, unfortunately, we have to do stuff more complicated.
That's true, but Kids Art Hub is a really great place to start. It's a channel actually on YouTube, and you can watch it for free, or they have an entire app that you can
buy.
Yep, you have to pay for it. That's true. We're cheap, so we didn't. But it is awesome if you wanted to go there on YouTube. Maybe I can put that in the descriptions below. So that's some of your favorite stuff. What is your... Well, wait a minute. You said art, but I thought science was your favorite.
Well, I like both, but art... really like painting, stories. I love writing books.
Mm-hmm.
I never actually got to pin those together, though, with the stapler. And we went to Target on the 4th of July. And just randomly, when I had some money, found some blank books for me to color.
Yeah. It was really cool. There was 8 of them in there?
Yeah.
And you shared some of them with your friends so that they could write their own books?
I shared 3 with them. I wonder... if they finished those, I forgot about them.
You should send them a Marco Polo and ask. It'd be really cool.
I can't right now, though. We're vlogging.
That's a good point. We are podcasting, yeah.
Vlogging, podcasting, all the same.
Tomato, tomato.
So will you tell me which one is the hardest lesson to make?
Ooh, that's a good question. So I should probably clarify real quick before I get into that. So there are curriculums that you can buy, and they'll send them to you already prepackaged, and you can just give them right away to your children. Because I only have one child, we haven't been able to have any more. I sort of have a little bit more time to create Kayligh's lessons, which means that I can actually mold them to where she's at. So you're actually in different grade levels, technically, in all the different classes.
Right, I'm in college level reading.
Yep, you can read at a college level, that's right.
And I'm in 3rd or 4th grade math.
4th grade math, that's right.
So when people ask me, what grade are you in, I always assume they mean math.
Yeah, so it's really confusing when someone asks that, right? What grade is she in? Well, can we really just put her with the group that's her age? Because right now you're in middle school some middle school science, some high school science. You excel at that. The most difficult lesson for me to create for you, I think, would definitely be math.
Really?
I have a hard time with math, and I did up until we found Khan Academy, which has been just a dream, like a lifesaver.
Not for me.
Not for you, but it's really helpful because it teaches you the math step by step with videos and then questions that sort of help cement the information into your mind. But before that, whenever I had to find the math for you, that was a little bit more difficult because a lot of times it doesn't actually come with instructions. And so that means that I have to like go and learn how to do the math that I'm supposed to be teaching you.
Is there any of the easiest ones? Since, like, you were asking me what's your favorite lesson and what's your least favorite, I thought I would ask you what's hardest and easiest.
That's really smart. Thanks for asking me. That's really cool. Yeah, I like that. Let's see. The easiest lesson for me to do with you is probably our Bible study. When we learn about biblical characters, the history, the books. Right now, in our Bible study, we're actually going through each book to figure out who wrote it, when was it written, what's the context, who is it written to. I believe you just did Zephaniah?
Yeah.
Or Zechariah?
Zachariah?
I think you're right, yeah. I think it was a Z. There's only a couple of them in there with a Z. So, one of those two.
Definitely.
I think that's probably the easiest one for me to do with you, and also probably the one that I enjoy the most because I love talking. You ask, like, the best questions, too. So
Really? Thank you.
You're welcome.
Is there anything like chores or something that you hate?
Oh, yes. Okay, that's a good question. I bet you can tell the listeners which chore I like the least.
Oh, putting the dishes up.
You got it. It's putting the dishes up. You're right. High five.
If you ask me what my favorite chore is, I hate all of them.
You know?
Besides
Actually,
organizing.
Yes, you were really good at organizing. You put the dishes up for me, and I help you with some of your chores that you don't like, huh?
I still hate putting up the dishes.
I don't like it either. I don't blame you. So, you are actually learning a little bit how to clean a little bit faster, which is something that I had to learn also because my brain just doesn't work like that. It moves all over the place, and I have a hard time focusing.
I remember when it took you a day to finish cleaning.
Yep, that's right.
We never got anything done.
It was so frustrating. Yeah, you'd be doing your lessons, and I'd have to like step away to do a little bit of cleaning and then come back to your lessons. So I'm glad that doesn't happen anymore. So I'm glad too that I can teach you a little bit of like the techniques that help you clean faster. That definitely makes it a little less horrible.
I always wish that we had a maid.
Yes, that would be nice. Or your robot that you were going to invent.
Yes.
So the house cleaning robot, we need that.
Yes.
It's right like our vacuum robot in there. Only better.
Only something that will actually clean.
Yes, and not get stuck on everything.
Every single thing.
Or stuck in corners for no reason.
I thought he was supposed to learn.
He's supposed to be a learning robot. Yeah.
Yeah, he doesn't learn anything.
I think he learns how to get stuck.
Yep.
And then he makes that really loud beeping sound when he gets stuck. Beep, 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 beep.
Speaking of learning, have you ever learned to do anything besides math on my lessons?
Oh my goodness, yes. I'm glad you asked. I learn all the time whenever I'm teaching you, especially in science, yeah.
In Hebrew.
In Hebrew, that's right, yeah. Well, I had to actually start to teach myself the Hebrew alphabet before I could even go through it with you. So I did learn quite a bit of Hebrew from that, and I've learned a lot of science from teaching you science class. And I have actually learned quite a bit just from the things that you pick up because you're an avid reader. You read quite a bit. Maybe in a minute you can tell the readers what your favorite book is.
Oh, yes.
And I learn a lot from the things that you read. We've been going to the library.
Oh, yes, I love the library. So my favorite book is the Junior Edition Survivalopedia, the worst case scenario.
The what now? Say it again.
Worst case scenario Survivalopedia, Junior Edition.
Wow. Yeah. Oh, this is the book that you've been reading to me every time that we come in here. And it's how to survive all of the different hair-raising scenarios. Oh my. Found it almost all major libraries, I imagine.
Probably.
Pretty cute.
I wish I could find the other series of this. It's my favorite book and I want to find the others.
Well, I bet you if we ask the librarian really nicely, they'll order the others for us. My friend Tom from Ex-Catholic for Christ blog, he told me that if you ask them to send books, they will send the books that you want. It's pretty neat, huh?
Really? That's so cool.
Yeah, I thought that was really neat too. Okay, so that's your favorite book, your favorite lessons, some of the reasons why you like homeschool. So what are some of the reasons you don't like homeschool?
I don't get to use lunch boxes.
Okay.
There's no recess.
Okay.
and I don't get to use a backpack.
Okay, those are some interesting reasons. We have bought you lunch boxes and backpacks, but it's just not the same, huh?
I lost them.
You did, it's true. But you did use your lunch box for like a full week. You even made your lunch each morning. It was really cute.
I wanted to pretend I was at school.
So you made your lunch, yeah.
I'm going to ask if I can have another lunchbox, but this time it's going to be JoJo lunchbox.
Yeah, you're really into JoJo right now, huh?
Yes, ma'am.
And that happened because we went to another homeschooler's birthday party, right?
Right. So is there anything that's made more difficult by me being born?
Are you being born? Wow, that is an interesting question. I think the most difficult part about being a parent, honestly, is worrying and trying not to worry all the time.
Really?
Yes, it is very difficult not to think, oh my goodness, am I giving her enough food? Am I giving her too much food? Is she learning enough? Is she learning too much? And so I think that's probably the only thing that I would say is difficult about having children, is probably just that you have to worry about making sure that they're safe. But the amazing cool thing about having a daughter and getting to teach a daughter is that you're like the coolest on the whole planet. No offense to all the other daughters.
And boys.
Oh yes, that's right. Yep. And sons. That's true. So we are homeschooling about, what would you say, 5 to 6 hours a day?
It's a sad truth, but it's mostly every day, every day.
And there are certain days of the week we don't homeschool, huh?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Which days of the week do we not homeschool?
When Daddy is off. And why don't we tell them why?
I think that's a good idea. Why don't you tell the listeners why we cannot do lessons when Daddy is home?
He's singing, he's playing every time with me. He's like, come on, Kayliegh, let's go! And he
Let's
wants
go
to go to stores 24/7 every time he's off.
Yeah, he likes to go and take you on hikes.
Do.
Yeah, we go on hikes, we go to playgrounds, we check out new cool places that we've never been before.
Right, so what would you say was the favorite place you traveled?
Oh, that's a good question. Goodness. I think this is probably my favorite place so far to have traveled. What about you?
Well, we didn't technically travel there, we visited it, but New York.
Yeah, you like New York quite a bit, huh?
Yeah, no one else liked it. My grandma didn't like it, Daddy didn't like it, Mama didn't like it, but I like getting to walk everywhere.
You were amazing in New York, too. It is a busy place. Like, you literally walk everywhere. We had to ride the subways. That was kind of crazy.
Don't remember that.
There were literally rats everywhere, though. That was gross and surprising.
I did not really remember that, but I did remember the dead rats.
Ugh, yes, that was awful. No thanks. And the trash on the side of the street was really weird.
Yeah, that is pretty weird.
But you got to see Lady Liberty. That was cool.
Yeah, on the boat cruise.
That's right, we took a boat. Yeah, you got to take a ferry out there to see it. So it's kind of in the middle of the water.
Yeah, that's really weird that where New York decided to put it.
So that's your favorite place that you've ever been. What is your least favorite traveling place that you've ever been?
Texas.
Texas. Okay, you don't like to travel to Texas. Got it. Is that because of Houston?
No, it's because it's hot.
It is hot there. That's true. That is very true. It is way too hot in Texas. I grew up there. It's always hot, except for like 3 weeks in the winter.
3 weeks later. Oh, it's so hot and humid. Where did the coolness go?
So another one of the things that we get to do as homeschoolers is that we get to read a lot. You have a lot of extra time to read.
Mommy reads to me at night and sings to me and stays in there until I fall asleep.
That's right. Yes, you have a hard time falling asleep at night, and so I read to you each night, which is actually where you learned to read and learned to love to read, was at night, because one day you asked if you could read to me. And it was so cute and so precious. You were 6 years old, and we were reading Pilgrim's Progress.
I didn't really understand very many of the words. It was like every other couple words.
Yeah.
I didn't understand. Still don't understand it.
You did really good, though, and you read to me. And from then on out, you wanted to always be reading. Before that, it was hard to get you to read. But at that point, you really learned to love reading as soon as that happened. So now you read nonstop.
Right.
So that's kind of one of the fun things that we get to do. You get to read quite a bit. If you could read all day, every day, would you do it?
No.
No? What would you do if you could just do one thing all day, but you had to do it for the rest of your life? What would it be?
Play with my dolls and play instruments.
Oh, that's cool. So play with your toys all day, every day? That's a good choice.
That would be amazing.
Yeah.
Does a tablet count as a toy?
Sure.
Yes.
You like that?
Without lessons.
Yeah. Okay, what about food though? If you had to eat just one thing for the rest of your life, what would it be?
Wings.
Wings?
Buffalo.
Oh, you love them?
And lemon peppered.
Yum. I like that too. What is your favorite place to have wings?
I like them all.
You like the mall wings?
I like them
wings?
all.
Oh, you like them all? I thought you said mall.
I don't think they sell wings at the mall.
I don't think they do either. Another part of your lessons, one of the other things that you learn is actually good sportsmanship. So we do sports. And this year, last year, and the year before that, one of the sports that you've been really majorly into is
Softball and baseball.
softball and baseball.
Not exactly baseball.
Mostly softball, but this is the first season that you've done baseball as well, huh?
Yeah, but it's competitive, and I'm glad. They call balls and strikes.
That's right, you have an umpire this time.
Yeah, it said it was going to be an umpire last time, but there wasn't.
No, there wasn't. We weren't even on a real field last time.
No, there was one time, our first game, where we were on a field. The rest of the time, no joke, we were on soccer fields.
No joke.
With spray painted things and plastic bases.
That's right, you couldn't even see the bases.
No.
It was really difficult to play, but this time...
But the boys got the good fields, and the girls got the horrible fields.
And that's really weird, yeah. This time you're playing with the boys, and so you're getting to play on the big fields with the umpires, and so that's been really fun for you. What is your favorite thing to do in baseball or softball? Do you like hitting, fielding?
I like fielding because I get to earn money.
You do, that's true. That's right, every time you get an out, you earn $1, huh?
Right.
Yeah, it's kind of like a reward for your hard work because we were trying to teach you not to be scared of the ball.
Yeah. Now it's kid pitch, and it's really hard now because no one ever hits a ball with the kid pitch, and I don't get a single ball.
It's true. It makes it a lot more difficult for you to get anybody out.
My feet are burning. It's hot. It's in the last inning.
But your team is really good. You guys have won the first 2 games that you played. So another thing that you love about homeschool is that you get plenty of time for your hobbies. And one of those hobbies is inventing things. You have a lot of really cool ideas for inventing. So why don't you tell the listeners 2 questions. 1, who is your favorite inventor? And 2, if you could invent anything right now, what would it be?
Well, to 1, my favorite inventor is Nikola Tesla.
Very good, yeah.
And
that's awesome.
If I could invent anything right now, it would be a choice between the automatic toothbrush,
Ooh.
the ice cream maker out of anything.
Oh, so it just pulls the air in and makes ice cream?
No, you have to put something in the contraption. I saw it on the show, and it turns it into ice cream, like a cone, for example.
Oh, okay.
But I have an idea better, if you, or possible, if you put a comb in there, it'll slice it up into little bits and put it in the ingredients to make ice cream.
Whoa, okay.
And of course, the robot that cleans for you.
I would appreciate that for sure.
And does everything you want it to do.
I really like that idea.
And of course, the automatic pen that'll say or write or color anything that you want it to color.
That would make lessons a lot easier, huh?
Yes.
Very cool. Those are some really neat inventions.
And of course, the walk yourself shoes.
Oh, yes. I love that. I think that's going to be really fun. That way you don't have to actually walk, huh? I think those are all really awesome ideas, and I really appreciate you coming on the program with me today. Is there anything else that you would like to talk about before we go?
I want to talk about is how amazing you are.
Oh.
Yeah, you're so awesome. I love you so much. You're the best mom in the whole world. No offense, other moms.
Sweet. Oh my goodness. You were just the sweetest thing. Didn't I tell you, listeners, sweeter than honey? Yep.
So, bye.
All right. So we have this conversation with Kayliegh, but I wanted to actually get into more of the grown-up side of it, of homeschooling. And you were homeschooled. And so the reason I wanted Becca here with me to talk about this is because you have the unique experience of having been both in public school and homeschool.
Yes. Yeah, and it's so
touch on that.
interesting.
Yeah.
So, my mom homeschooled all 4 of us.
Wow.
I think my older siblings, my older brother, so there's 4 of us, I'm the third. My older brother experienced school for a little bit, and it just, even a private Christian school, I think first or second grade she took him out. It just was not for him.
Mm-hmm.
Public school and schools in general they're supposed to be individualized schools, plans for each child, and they're not. They can't. There's 30 kids plus in a room. There's no way a teacher can do individualized teaching. It's impossible.
No.
Even though that's what public school is supposed to do. That's literally in the Constitution. Yeah. And they're not able to do it. So we should be revolting. We should be like, why are teachers...
Throw the tea. Throw it into the harbor.
Yes. Yeah. We have to teach 30 plus kids. I think I had 36 in my 5th grade class. But I did eventually go to school when my mom started working. So my mom taught me how to read, write.
Awesome.
I remember going to the bookstore recently, not too long ago, and she was reading this one book, and I started crying because I remembered her reading to us as a child. She read to us so much. That is the best thing that you could do, is read to your kids. If they're like, they bring a book to you, just start reading it. Cause,
even if you're not homeschooling.
Even if you're not homeschooling. Like, oh gosh, like read before you go to bed. Have your little routine, and it could be the same book every night. I remember asking her greetings and hymn for like years every night.
That's really
cool. Sometimes she would read that and another book. Like she just, I really appreciate that. And then by the end of 4th grade, so I had to go like the last month of 4th grade, I was put in. So it's kind of a scary thing.
Yeah.
I was always really scared about school because I'd never been in school. But you always see it on TV, so I was like, everybody's supposed to be in school, and I don't have any of these experiences. So 4th grade was a little rough because I was right at the last year there. My mom also had me, they recommended I went to this other tutor over the summer, and she really helped, like, show me that I can try things and fail if I needed to. Like, it was okay to try. I was so scared in school. And it just boosted my confidence.
Oh, that's neat.
And
that's
she
really
helped.
Cool.
Yeah, I don't even know what she was. I want to say she might have been a resource teacher or something. And that was so helpful. I loved 5th and 6th grade.
Oh, cool.
I loved it. Absolutely loved it. That's where I fell in love with reading. Started reading a bunch of books. The 6th grade, 7th grade, started reading Harry Potter back in the day when it originally
I was going to ask you,
out.
like what book was it that like really got you?
Oh, well, before this, I don't know if anybody knows about Clue Junior books. They were so cute. I'll have to show it to you.
Yeah.
But every single chapter it's based on the Clue game, if anybody's wondering.
Right, you were telling me about that.
They don't make these anymore.
Oh.
But you can still find them on Amazon. Some people are still selling them, and I loved reading these. And the end of the chapter, it would be flipped, so you'd have to read the answer upside down, kind of a thing.
Cool.
But I would try to figure out the clues before. It was so cute. So I still went and bought a bunch recently because I'm like, I love those books. Those are what got me into reading. And then, my favorite book of all times is James and the Giant Peach.
Oh yeah, that's a good one. I like
reading in 5th grade. And then at middle school, I did not transition well. I come off like an extrovert, but I'm actually very introverted.
Right.
So I'm an ambivert. I guess I can like flip. I can do both. But as much time as I'm with people, I have to be away from people. But I didn't know that at 12. So I'm seeing 36 different people every 60 minutes. And a different teacher every 60 minutes I didn't know at that time how to explain that was too much for me, because you're just presented with this as the norm. This is what you do now. Yeah. And you know what? When you get to college, it's not like that.
It's not.
So you know,
really not.
You're not at school all day. It's insane. I think maybe you should have 1 or 2 teachers when you're in middle school, if that, but I did not transition well.
It's overstimulation for sure.
It is. Once I got to high school, then I was starting to figure myself out. I need to get up much earlier in the morning to give myself time.
To prepare.
Because I'm just not one of those people. My sister can. She can just wake up, eat breakfast on the way to work, and show up. But I'm the type where I like to get up early. I like to take a shower. I don't want people to talk to me while I'm having, my coffee.
Alone time, yes.
I have to have that alone time. And half the world is introverted. So you think of like I think of that with all the kids that are at schools. Like half of them are introverted, and they're doing more and more extroverted type activities. So you're going to see more behaviors. You're going to see more depression. You're going to see more anger come out because you're dealing with extroverted group type activities all day. Your body can't physically process that. And you know what? God made us this way.
Right.
God made us introverted or extroverted or whatever the label is, and maybe you don't agree with the labels, but God made us all a certain way, and we're not honoring that to each other, and we're not honoring that to kids at all in their individualized plans. Like that.
Oh my gosh, yes, that is so accurate. Because the body of Christ, we need one another's individuality. We're all, it's basically like telling all of the toes and all of the fingers to be eyeballs all day long at school, because
that's so great.
It's not what everybody's designed to do.
It's not.
So you have to, in a sense, the public schools, they have to sterilize it to as much as they can, because you can't personalize it for every kid.
You can't.
It's not possible.
Even though it's in our Constitution.
Yeah, it's not possible for them to do it.
It's not possible.
There's too many kids in there. So that's one of the reasons I love homeschooling, is because if Kayliegh is having a particular day where, like, sometimes I'll come in here and she'll have all of her lights off and she'll be coloring or playing or reading, and she'll have all of her lights off except for one, and I'm like, it's the middle of the day. Why do you have your lights off? Well, it was too much stimulation for her. She turned it all off, and she's calming herself down. I didn't have to teach her to do that. Like, that's just where she's comfortable at. Like, sometimes all of her lights on, but sometimes she wants them all off, except for like a little.
Oh, I love that. Homeschooling is so great for individualized type of learning. It's so great. Like, you can turn the lights off if you need to.
Sure.
She can go outside around,
like we were talking about earlier. She doesn't sit still very well. If I try to make her sit still in her seat, it will end up in a breakdown. Like you were mentioning with behaviors. Maybe you can kind of explain that to the listeners, like what that means, because you're learning about the ways that kids learn. Before we started recording, where you're explaining to me the different ways that, like, you can take kids' minds off of things whenever they're not having a good enough time and they're breaking down and stuff. So like you mentioned, it can be so overwhelming. And I think this little bit of information is going to be really, really helpful.
Yes. Oh gosh. So this one class I got to take about behavior, we had an entire class on behaviors, and I don't know everything. I'm still in school, so I don't know everything, but this one class was like the most helpful about looking at behavior. I mean, there's so many things to look at. There's the environment, there's the other kids. There's also to look at how we, as either the caregiver or the therapist or clinician or teacher, whoever is the behavior has happened, you could have possibly been a part of it. And it's interesting to look at all the aspects. What was that point for them? What happened right before that point? What led up to what? Because kids don't typically just listen and scream. Something happened before. There was a trigger. There were things that led up to that point. And so I like to look at it as a standpoint of, what was I doing? What was in the classroom environment? What were some of the other kids doing? There's so many factors.
Yes.
And sometimes kids don't know how to express themselves at like 5. And just like when I got into middle school, I didn't know how to express that. Mom, I struggle with going 6 different classes in a day. Seeing hundreds of different people in one day is overwhelming to me. So kids express it in behavior. So it's really, I just like to think of it as, what am I doing in this situation? That's my first thought. What did I do to help bring this trigger on for this kid? Right. What did I do? That's the first thing I look at.
Triaging in the hospital is something that my husband has explained to me is really, really interesting. You don't just look at like the symptoms. They're not a disease, right? The symptoms are explaining what's happening in a body. Yes. But there could be lots of reasons for those symptoms. There could even be multiple diseases happening. And so you have to like triage and decide which is the most important thing to address right now. What is like life-threatening. And I've taken that actually, like, it's so fun. He's so sweet to help me with these things, and he'll like explain it and he'll write it all down for me so I don't forget. And I've taken that pattern and used it to what I need to get done in a day. Like I triage my day, you know, what's
triage my day.
Yes, what has to be done immediately. We even do that with like the symptoms that we see in these behaviors. It's not what is happening. Like the symptom of their behavior is actually caused by something, and it might be caused by lots of other things. But if all we ever do is shut them down immediately as soon as they have a behavior, not only is it just going to continue, it's not going to change anything, but also now you as a parent or a teacher, you don't know what's going on, and they're not going to tell you because you just shut them down. They're going to learn from that mistake. They're going to consider it. Children are very myopic in this way. It's their fault. This is the way the world works. The world revolves around them. So if a parent or a grown-up or someone they like is mad at them, it's their fault. They've done something wrong. So to them, the mistake was expressing themselves at all. They're not going to come to you now when something is bothering them. And that's the opposite of what we want. We do not want to make our kids, we don't want to put them in a position where somebody can abuse them and they're not going to tell you. So, like,
you want them to use language.
We need them to be able to express. And that's always what I've done with Kayliegh whenever she has her breakdowns, if she gets overwhelmed, is explain to her, if you can't explain this to me in big girl words, like use your words, explain this to me, tell me what's going on, why do you feel this way, what's causing you to feel this way, I can't help you unless I understand. Like, you have to let me know what's going on.
See, that's great. I'm building that rapport and that trust.
But I had to learn it the hard way because I didn't know anything about behaviors and how interesting this all works. Like,
and every kid's so different. Like, it's just it's individualized, and there's no manual. You learn as you go. That's really the best thing. Different. So you just have no idea.
It's really
you're in that situation
to learn these things.
So we need to deal with the behavior right away. We can't, if you delay punishment, the child will actually not learn. So they're learning now, like suspension, like in-school suspension, or suspension is actually providing them so they don't have to go to school. So now they just got out of school, and now you're punishing the parent.
So oh my gosh, I have always said that. That is so dumb.
Delayed punishment does not work. It is not effective.
None of us want to go to school, guys. Are you kidding me? That's how I reward Kayliegh. Like, some of her rewards, she gets what we call school bucks. So if she finishes all of her lessons, she gets school bucks for that. If she finishes all of her chores, she gets
my mom did that too.
So she gets like if she does, she's got a spelling list each week. If she gets all of the words right, she gets a certain amount of school bucks for that. And so it adds up, and there's prizes. And we used to do it like every other week. We would have actually like a little store for her to shop different things, little toy stuff like that. And it was just not as rewarding enough for her. So we decided to do really cool things to go along in it. And so, like, if she earns 200 school bucks, she can skip a whole day of school. And she gets to decide when she skips. Another thing that if she earns, like, I think 50 school bucks, she can skip a certain subject that day. So she loves that. That's a reward for children, to stop making them go to school. Like,
it is.
Why do you think everybody looks forward to summer? You think the one example that I could give where that's not the case is Pastor Jim from the Domain for Truth.
Hi, Jim.
Hi, Pastor Jim. Shout out. He was suspended for, I think he said, the rest of the remaining year. And he came to Christ during that time at home.
Oh, wow. Yes.
And then his sisters got saved. I love that. But that's probably the only thing. Like, that's an act of God. It's a miracle.
Yes,
Other than that, this is not a good idea to send your children home. Let's not do that. No. Find a different way to teach them to stop behaving the way they're behaving. Find out why they're behaving that way.
Yes. And be okay with, with the teacher. Like, it's probably, I would probably say it's probably not the teacher's fault always. Like, I think parents are coming in sometimes, like, with so many concerns about so many things going on in the classroom, and they don't even want to look at maybe their child had something to do with it. Too. So we need to do is look at the whole classroom environment of what's going on with behavior. There's so many things. It could have been the fluorescent lighting. It could have been that kid didn't have breakfast that morning.
Oh my gosh,
there's
maybe
so many
their
things
parents
to look
fought
at.
all night long and they didn't get.
Yes.
There's a lot of things that can happen.
Yeah, let's look at ourselves. Let's go deeper. Let's look at ourselves too. I don't have any kids, but I work with kids and I help at church with kids, so and studying and stuff, but
that's what I love
also
about
helps
getting to talk to you too. Like, you have a unique perspective about children because you are learning how to help them. And I don't want to like put any undue burdens on teachers. You've got 30 some odd kids. It's going to be really difficult for you to always know what's happening in those kids' lives. In fact, it might be impossible. But what we are trying to say is just that instead of automatically assuming that this is just a monstrous child,
just the student, or just you, or just this, or just that. Like, there's probably a lot of things on that camel's back. There probably were a lot of different straws. Then there was that. You just saw the final straw. But we don't know what all those other straws were, and so let's dig a little deeper. I know another thing that we try to do is, like, with one negative, we do 5 positives. So it's a lot of retraining. Like, I don't know about you, but I don't do well when people are constantly bringing you down. Constantly telling you what you do wrong.
Most people don't.
Most people shut down.
Yeah.
So you do a lot better. I think my mom's always said it, like, you can get a lot more bees with honey. Is that what it is?
Yes, you catch a lot more bees
or flies
with honey.
More flies with honey as opposed to vinegar.
Yep, I use that expression too. I love that advice. I think it was, I'm thinking Elizabeth Prada actually, and I'll pull up the name of her blog that she posted. She teaches something, and she was mentioning how with her kids, when she's teaching them and they say, I can't do it, she says, yet. You can't do it yet.
Oh, that's great.
And that's actually what I've always done with Kayliegh, because she would get so discouraged, just like, if it didn't immediately click and she couldn't do it.
I was like that too.
Yeah, and she's super literal too.
And some kids are more concrete, and some kids are more abstract, and like it's insane.
Super concrete,
and super to have a kid like 30, 35 kids in your room. I mean, something's going to give in terms of you're going to compromise teaching. You have to be able to keep going with the lessons. So we're really doing a disservice to kids in general with that many. So I'm totally a hardcore proponent for like an option as homeschooling.
Yes, absolutely.
It's awesome to have that available. Yeah,
I love it. They have a program in Idaho actually where the schools will they'll pay you. I think a lot of the parents don't like this because they actually have, like reasons where they don't like what the schools are teaching, and I think that's great too. But I'm just saying for for parents who want to homeschool and can't afford to, the state sends you a paycheck per each kid that you homeschool as long as you use their curriculum.
Yeah.
So not only are you getting free curriculum, but you're getting this paycheck. I think here it's like $1,600 per kid or something like that.
For the year?
For the year, and you get to use it towards like whatever you want them to learn, extracurricular or all of their stuff.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, so it's kind of like a little bit of an initiative for parents homeschool. Yeah. And I really want to point out that like the issues with this many kids in the classroom, that's not a teacher's fault. That's kind of like whenever you get a bill from Verizon and it's a call and you're telling the person about it and the person is not the reason for your bill. Like the person's like, Miss Herford, please calm down. I didn't write your bill. And I'm like, I know it's not your fault, but it's somebody's fault.
It's somebody's fault. Yeah. And you're like playing whack-a-mole. Like,
So the teachers are doing... Yeah, I think the encouragement I would give for teachers is to do the best that they can to glorify God in their role, but not to expect that they're going to fix it, because the issue isn't teachers. The issue is institutionalized. It's overall, it's an issue.
Yeah. There's other options too out here. I don't know if you have it there. We have charter schools.
Yes,
that could be another option, which are still within school districts, so they're still getting government assistance. And there's some that you can still, you might be able to pay a little bit for, or whatever, what have you. Those could be another great option, because some of them can actually be Christian run. In some ways.
Absolutely. So my sister did that. She left her junior year, I think, of high school. She was having a really hard time, quite a bit like me. Yeah. She left and she went to a type of charter school where she was able to finish at her own pace. She finished the rest of her junior year and her senior year in 6 weeks. and graduate.
Oh, nice. Yeah, I think I did that my senior year. I dropped out of my regular school. I needed so much more stuff, so I was like, nope, I'm just going to go over to this little charter school, and I finished my high school diploma.
I also dropped out and got my GED. I got too overwhelmed by the police and the metal detectors and the...
Right. I think in Finland, they have it... like if my kids had to go to school, like I would love for them to go to this, like how Finland does it. So you'll notice that either Japan or Finland are number one for terms of academic scoring. Yeah. Japan is like they're on steroids in terms of like compared to us. They're in class for 12 hours of a day.
Wow.
They're studying. They have a lot of anxiety. They have a lot of high ratio of students committing suicide because of all the pressure. Like Japan, it's just really interesting if you research it. But in Finland, they actually spend less on their kids to go to school than we do. They're actually in the classroom less time. There's less of them. There's like 15 or less per class.
Nice.
And they have more recess time than we do. They have a longer lunch time. It's insane. Kids now barely have a half hour for lunch. Yeah. That's just not enough. And in that half hour is also the recess. So they're eating like 10 minutes. Yep. That's not enough time for me to eat. I don't do that. Like I can't. I need to sit. I need to enjoy my meal. And we're really not designing the whole classroom because it's an institution. Schools are really designed, I think, by the same architects that do prisons.
Yes. Oh my gosh.
I believe.
I was gonna say that.
If you research that, even Disneyland too. I know I love my Disneyland, but it's set up. It's made by the same architects that do a lot of prisons to keep a lot of people in check.
Right.
Keep a lot of behavior in check. Because there's so many people. It's just to them your number, and it's cattle coming in, cattle going out.
Yeah. What we do actually is each year she gets older, we add a little extra to it so that she wasn't overwhelmed by starting school. And I think that can be part of what overwhelms kids a lot, especially if they were never in daycare, if they never went to preschool, and then all of a sudden they just show up in school and they're like expected to pay attention and sit still this long. That's a recipe for disaster right there. Yeah. But we take breaks in between, and that's another one of the fun reasons I wanted to continue on with this episode a little bit was like, I think talking with Kayliegh, we didn't get through a whole lot of like the techniques and stuff that we use. But with homeschool, kind of like you're saying with the behaviors and stuff, you can completely and individualize it.
Yeah, and adjust as needed. Yes.
And so the encouragement I would give to homeschooling parents is if it doesn't work, that's okay. Like you didn't fail. Your child just doesn't learn like that, and that's okay. Just see what works better. And so we tried. Oh my goodness, we've tried so many different things. And sometimes the stuff that works one year doesn't work the next year.
Yes. Yeah, you have to adjust. Yeah.
And that's perfectly great because she's learning and she's growing and it's changing. And I don't hold her to a specific grade level with things. If she's flourishing in science and she's not flourishing in math, we flourish in science and we work on the math until she gets there. Because, like you said something really fascinating, but I think before we started recording, where you said the difference between like 4, 5, and 6 is huge difference. It's different, like in terms of like it's basically a 1st, 5th, and 8th grader trying to make them do the same thing, and because those fundamental years of 3, 4, and 5, like a 3-year-old cannot do what a 5-year-old, even 4-year-old. Their ability to language, fine motor skills, their dexterity, like their ability to hold a pencil, just everything. They can't do the same thing. It jumps, it doubles every year. It's crazy. Insane. Yeah. It's amazing to watch, though. It's like really fun to watch.
Their language doubles, like everything. Like,
yeah, I thought that was really cool. Like just to hear that, is it because when Kayliegh was learning how to read and write and stuff, I was really concerned that like she wasn't getting it. It was, for some reason, it wasn't clicking. And then all of a sudden one day it just clicked. And from then on she was fine. And it was amazing. And then the same thing happened with math where it just wasn't clicking. She wasn't getting it. And then all of a sudden one day it just clicked and off she went and it was fine. Yeah. If she had been in school, what would happen would be that she would be falling behind in one area and then she would be held back in all the others. Like if she failed a math class, you're held back in all of it then. You don't get to go forward. Now you have to stay back the whole shebang. And so like for her, she's already into like college level reading. She's doing.
Oh, really?
Yeah, like her reading level.
Oh, that's awesome.
She corrects my spelling all the time. I had to skip ahead like 2 or 3 years in her spelling list because she was telling me like, Mommy, this is boring. It's too easy. Can you give me some hard ones? So I skipped ahead a couple of years, and even that, she was just like, Mommy, I already know how to spell all of these. Can we get like some hard words and stuff? Like the other day, camouflage was on the list, and I was like, oh, here'll be a good one. She'll struggle with this, and she just like, Mommy, and she spelled it for me, and I was like, oh, blast! I'm gonna have to skip ahead again. Like,
blast! Yes,
I know. In that, yeah.
Yes, I'm already using the what is it? Word prediction in my phone. Oh, I don't even. I'm having trouble remembering words now.
Yes.
Like, definitely, because it'll just fill it in for me. I'm like, definitely.
How do you spell? Yeah, because you don't even need to. Yeah, on our phones it fills it all in. Yeah, so she corrects my spelling all the time. She helps me with that.
Yes.
But I would hate to like hold her back in spelling.
Yeah.
Catch up in math. That would be kind of weird. I think that's a weird way to do it. But some of the
you can adjust what you need, and it gives you more flexibility.
Yes. Yeah, and I think that's really good. So if you can homeschool as a parent, I would encourage you to. Like, some parents can't. They can't afford it. They have to work. And I want to say to those parents who can't, they do have to work, that, like, you're doing the best thing for your children.
Yes.
You're providing food for them to eat and clothes to wear in a home. So I don't want to make any parents who, like, can't afford not to work feel guilty that they have to go to work. That's literally the best thing for you to do for your children. But the parents who don't really need to work, but they just want extra stuff, like that's not what I'm referring to. Like, just because you want extra fancy stuff, no, that's not the same thing. That's totally different. Right. I'm talking about the ones that literally have to work. Like you don't have a choice. Yeah, and a lot of times those are the parents that feel guilty, that they're like, I wish I could say, and I hear that from moms all the time when they find out I homeschool. They'll say, I wish I could homeschool. But
I know, and
it's heartbreaking. Like, you have to work. But you're that parent that does. Like, do you know how many parents don't, and they just let their kids go without, and they're lazy, or they leave, they abandon their children. Like, don't feel guilty because you're doing the best thing for your children. You're still doing the best thing for your children. I mean, it's still great. And then you do have time, read to them, and there's no mommy shame here. No mommy shame. There's no mommy shame. No shade either way. I know. I loved elementary school. Yeah. So to me, it's like a totally weird experience because I absolutely loved 5th and 6th grade. I loved going, but I would have loved to have had that opportunity to be able to do my studies from home. A lot of kids can do like online schools now. Yeah, I think that was starting to be a thing, but I wasn't aware of it. Like maybe when I was in I graduated 05. What was? Yes. I was 06. Yes, we just didn't have that available. To my knowledge, I did go to a charter school. Computers were pretty primitive in terms. We were doing T9 on our phones and MySpace. Yes. Oh my gosh, seriously, they were still huge. They were still big fat computers back then. So I mean, I think laptops were a thing, but they were still fat themselves. They were quite thick things. Right. So that's really pretty much it. If you guys have any questions, though, for Becca about behaviorism, you can definitely ask her for advice about like. Oh, cool! Yeah, she's amazing at this kind of stuff. She's really intuitive too. If you have any questions about different curriculums or stuff, I don't use a curriculum. I can send you some links to the stuff that I do use. I individualize Kayligh's because I just have the one kid. If you got multiple kids, I do not recommend individualizing that curriculum. Right, then there's ways you could just, do the curriculum and adjust as you need. So you can get, they have free curriculum online. You can get lots of free curriculum already. Yeah, and look, and 100 years ago, they used to be in one classroom, different grades. So people still learn. Your child will still learn if that's the best that you have. They're still going to grow. I promise. Absolutely. They're still, especially if you're reading to them. That's going to be the numero uno thing. If you're reading to them, they're going to grow. Absolutely, 100%. Just do the best that you can, and then whenever you are stressed out and having a difficult time, take a little mommy break, walk away. Yes. Your kids will still be okay. We all survived. Your kids are going to survive. We just have to make sure that they know that we're human and we're doing the best we can. Yeah, so true, because the world tries to make it a certain way, and you know what, God designed each and every one of us, and we're all image bearers. Yeah, definitely. That's right. That's exactly it. Your child is an image bearer, and so are you. So it's stinky whenever they have to go to public school and be in a classroom with 30 kids, but that doesn't mean that you're not doing the best thing for them if you're working and you're providing food. It's awesome when they can be home and you can homeschool them. That's really, really exciting. If you're a teacher, you got 30 kids, you're doing the best you can, you're overwhelmed, we're going to pray for you.
We see you. We're going to pray for you, and we see you. Yes. We're praying for you.
Yes.
Because, so true. It is hard. We don't have our glorified bodies yet. We're not in heaven. Nothing's perfect. And
this is a fallen world, and this is a fallen school system for sure.
Yeah, and there's different seasons for everything.
Yes, that's right. Yeah, definitely. Just,
love on one another through it.
Yeah, I would just really encourage parents to be purposeful in
I love that. Yes.
If your kid's in public school, be sure that you're purposeful with teaching them especially when you teach them about scripture, make sure that you're addressing evolution. That might be something that like you don't realize, but it's nonstop being drilled into them at school. So definitely that would be a really important topic to handle at home. Give them apologetics, let them learn how to teach. Ray Comfort has a book on apologetics for kiddos. It's super duper cute. I love it. And so there's options out there. So be purposeful with teaching them what you want them to know.
And there's a book by, I haven't read it yet, but I love Justin Peters, so he has a new book out, or not a new book, it's called Do Not Hinder Them, about children and about presenting the gospel to them, and really watching them, making sure they have fruit, because a lot of times we want to are they saved, are they not saved, and they're well, they're 8 or 7 or 6. And, I won't get into the debate of whether you should or shouldn't do that. I don't know. Right. Would help address about presenting the gospel to your children and being a part of that curriculum for them at home, that we're presenting Christ when we're home together.
Absolutely. Homeschool or not, for sure. I love that resource too. That's a really good option, because he explains a lot of that sort of idea of not telling them that they're not saved, but also not telling them that they are. Just like we wouldn't want to do to anyone. We don't want to give anyone false assurance. We want to watch the fruit of that. Right. So I think that'll be good. I am so glad that you did this with me. Yay! I was so pumped when I found out that you were homeschooled and also put in public school, because I think that's something that parents sometimes they have to do. Your mom had
My mom had to. Yeah, she had to go back to work.
So maybe that'll be encouraging for parents that are in that situation where they're not sure, oh my gosh, is this going to be okay? Becca turned out amazing.
Yay!
It was a struggle, but she's here and she's awesome. Okay, I am super excited about this. This is going to be really
good. This was really great.
Thank you so much for talking.
Encouraging. You're so welcome.
I'm so excited.
Thanks for listening, Humble Bees. This is Tulips and Honey. Over and out.
I think that diamond still needs a little more polish.
Yeah.